Boom.
Okay.
Yeah, now we're done the sex jokes. It's time to actually, although the episode's going to devolve into that anyways, but go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, eventually. Once the topic comes off of me and onto you, sex jokes will naturally come through.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's something for your audience right away. I'm just going to move this back here a little bit for the lighting. This is a Bali banana. Okay, this is the size of a Bali banana. If you haven't seen one of these before, they're fucking ridiculous. It's like the size of my finger.
Yeah, that's tiny. Oh my God.
It's like a banana. It's like a real live banana, but I'm going to eat one right now as well. I wish I could show these. They're the sweetest little things you could ever have in your life.
So is that what 5 inches looks like out there or what?
Yeah, pretty much. This is like you're looking good out here in Asia. if you're packing this.
Oh, dude. Then I am stone cold, just slightly below average if I'm out there. But anyways, that's okay.
You would do great out here, bro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So let's get into it, man. What do you want to talk about today?
I was gonna ask you these 2 questions beforehand, but I'm like, nah, Brett Bailey, he's about it. Like he's prepped. He'll have answers for these. So I every episode, except for one episode because I forgot, but that's okay. Work in progress.
Okay.
I asked the guest 2 questions, and I'm sure with you and I it'll go off into so many tangents, so I'm cool with that. But first question is, what's something that you've learned recently?
Something that I've learned recently. Well, here's the idea that's hitting me the most, because I find when I learn something the first time, sometimes it doesn't hit. Mm-hmm. But when I learn something like the second or third time, and maybe I connect a new idea to it that makes this one idea expand and make me understand it more, then it becomes more powerful. But here's the thing that's been exciting me lately. Let's talk about habits for a second, like building a habit. I don't care if it's fucking like you want to like exercise more, like the classic personal growth habits. You want a comic, Nick. You want to write a joke a day. Like, what was the name? There was this one comic, super famous guy, Seinfeld. What's his name? Jerry Seinfeld. He had this calendar board where he would do like one a day. Like he would write a joke a day no matter what. Never missed a day. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that's the key, is just doing it every day. That's how you make funnier jokes. But here's the idea. Most people, when they think of building a habit, they think of the result, then what they have to do, then the person they'll become. For example, someone wants to lose weight. They'll say, I want to lose weight. That's the result. Then they look at what is it that I have to do to lose the weight? Exercise more, eat less, let's say. And then they think if they do that, they'll become the person that's lost the weight. But the truth is, it's actually totally flipped around. I mean, James Clear writes about this in his book, Atomic Habits. He's like, what you have to do is change the identity first. Mm-hmm. And if you become the person who's lost the weight, then what you'll do is you'll just do what that person does, which is exercise, eat less, eat healthy, whatever. And then you'll get the result, which is the weight that you no longer want to have on you. And that idea has been fucking with me, because I've consistently in my life looked for like the result first, like who's done the result, who has this. And what I've switched to lately is I don't do anything in my day if I don't feel like the identity of the person I really am, like the person I'm becoming. If I don't feel like the person who has my goals, if I don't feel like that and think like that, then I will not do a single thing until I do. I don't care if I have a full to-do list. I will not act from a place of not my identity, because it's not going to lead to who I want to be. So that's the idea that's been like, that's what I've learned lately. And it's just been like, wow, it's changed everything in my life. In the last month and a half, I've created a life for myself that is my dream life. And it's only because I've focused specifically on my identity. And I mean that fully, like not bullshit, not like look at me, but just say like, since I focus on my identity, I've been living my dream life since that day, or since that day, but then it's manifested in the 3D reality, like straight up, like within a couple of weeks.
Wow. That's very profound. Cause it's like, I guess, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but instead of saying, oh, I need to, exercise more, count my macros, do all that shit to lose weight. It's like, well, who I want to be is somebody who feels good about their weight, somebody who's happy, somebody who exercises, somebody who loves what they see in the mirror. And then once you take on that persona, then you move through into the habits of what that person would do to get there.
Fucking rice, dude. Fuck yeah.
Doesn't doesn't Charles Duhigg kind of talk about that in The Power of Habit?
It's been a while since I've read that book. I'm not sure. He may.
Yeah, this is reflecting poorly on you because I borrowed that book from you, Brett. Come on, bro.
Really? Yeah, that was like what, 2-3 years ago now that I read that book. When did I lend that to you? Like last summer?
Yep, last summer.
Yeah. Shit.
When we were
this
both
isn't making me look good, bro.
No, yeah, I'm just here to
kidding.
I'm here to make you look bad, honestly. No, I'm kidding. I would never
Thank God thank God my self-esteem can handle a comment from Nick Bueno.
I know.
Thank God. Otherwise, I'd be fucked because you roast me all the time.
I roast everybody. I can't resist. I can't resist. Sometimes I'll be like, don't say that. Then I say it. I'm like, okay, I hope they took that well. And then if they do, they're like, yeah, you know what? This is funny, but like horrifying at the same time.
Okay.
I kind of want to see what you think of this. So somebody posted on Instagram once, they posted a picture of them holding a ring. And they're like, sorry, I wasn't able to text you this morning, Dad. What do you think that is? What do you think that post is about?
Someone posts a picture of just a ring, holding a ring. The daughter.
Yeah, the daughter holding a ring.
Dad, sorry, I forgot to text you last night.
Sorry, I couldn't text you today, Dad.
I mean, my mind went to a really dirty place. I don't even want to say it out loud. Honestly, I really don't. So I'll take a less dirty answer and be like, she found like her mom's wedding ring and was supposed to give it back to him so they could have a happy ever after marriage.
Oh, okay. I thought it was...
That's definitely not what I first thought, but like, I don't want to say out loud what I first thought.
That's really funny. What I thought it was, and every guy except for you now that I've told this to goes, oh, it sounds like she got married, or like it's a happy announcement. And I'm like, every girl I've talked to is like, that's definitely cryptic and bad. So we like roast, we like joke about a lot of things a lot. So I messaged her, I was like, wow, like valuing materialistic things over texting your dad, what the hell? And she's like, yeah, my dad just died. I was like, oh, fuck.
Fuck.
I felt like human garbage.
Just like the worst person ever.
Oh man. Like I got like blood just went cold. I was like, oh shit. I like apologized profusely. I was like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. She's like, no, it was super cryptic. Like I was like, I thought you were announcing something like happy or good. She's like, no, it was super cryptic. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I felt like,
oh dude,
garbage.
That's the worst. That's like saying something to someone like your grandma just dies and you say like, hey, I know you love your grandma so much. Like you guys have the best relationship ever. And then you like make like a dirty grandma joke or something. And like, dude, she just died like last week. That's awkward, dude. That's awkward.
I literally was like paralyzed with fear for like an hour. I felt so terrible. She's like, no, it's cool. You didn't know. Don't worry about it. I was like, oh man, I felt so bad.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah, I would too, man. Like you just like roasted this like girl's dad who's dead. Shit happens though, dude. But here's something that I think is even, because that's like, how are you supposed to know? I think that one's easy to overcome. But what I'm interested in is like, what happens when, you know, you get backlash from people about a joke that you make as a comedian who puts out stuff? Because to be a comedian, you have to kind of like stretch it. Is that not true? Like you have to kind of like stretch and like.
Yeah, you have to look for the line.
Get offended.
Yeah, look for the line, push the
boundaries. Look for the line is the saying. Okay, cool. And like, I know that first of all, there's truth in like all good jokes. There's like actual truth. Mm-hmm. But that truth sometimes is difficult to accept. And I can imagine there's people that like throw flack back at comedians like yourself. And they're like, fuck you, you dick, all this stuff, like you asshole. And like, for me, like I personally, I'm trying to work on this. It's tough for me to deal with negative feedback. I love positive affirmation. I love people telling me I'm awesome. Mm-hmm. But I also know that it's dangerous to like that too much, because it's whether it's positive or negative, it's taking my gauge of if I actually am an awesome person away from what I internally think. And kind of looking outside for that validation as opposed to validating myself. So how do you kind of like deal with, as a comedian, with that shit, like with the flack, like fuck you, Nick, asshole?
One, I deal with it poorly, honestly. The same as you. Like I don't like being disliked, right? And I kind of grew up like I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. I was super socially awkward. Like I didn't have a ton of like great friends. And the one good friend that I really did have, like we were never in the same class, like for the longest time. So like I grew up thinking that I was a bad person because like, oh, like nobody really likes me. And I don't get along with my teachers. So like, oh shit, like I might actually be bad, you know? So I hate that feeling and I hate pissing people off. But at the same time, I have that like innate calling to just push the boundary. Cause I'm like, what if this is the funniest thing ever? Like what if it's the greatest joke of all time? And if it's not, I'm like, whatever. But, so I'll say this. And also, what's that sports saying? You're never as good as they say you are. You're never as bad as they say you are. So you know, and even if you are killing it, but did you see on Instagram a little while ago, I posted this carousel. It was like pink and really like frilly looking. And it said, so you want to help oppressed people? And then as you swipe through, it's just like, did you see it?
No, I didn't see it. It's just fucking hilarious. You know, pink frilly thing saying you want to help oppressed people.
Yeah, you swipe through and the first one is like, number one, assert moral superiority over people you know. And then it's just like, the second one is like, two, assume the most negative assumptions of the people that you know. It's like, oh, your friends didn't post about that thing? Yeah, they're morally bankrupt and racist pigs. Like, you should shit on them. Any personal attacks or physical threats are totally warranted. And like rule number 3 was like, watch a 3-minute video and extrapolate that over the entire situation. If people don't know what you know, they're bad people. They should just know already. And they don't have, if they ask you, that's offensive. And then step 4 was like, if you see any donate link or people asking for credit card info, don't research or ask where the money might be going. Just give your fucking money up, you coward. Like, what's wrong with you? Why don't I have your credit card info? And then the last slide is like, comment your credit card number below and follow at Bueno no Bueno. And my buddy thought it was the funniest thing ever. And it did really, really well on Instagram, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, not trying to brag, but I am. But so he sent it to like everybody he knows, and he sent it to like one of my ex's moms. And she
okay. And she was keep going.
Was really looking for smoke. And she messaged back like, wow, if he put as much effort as he did into reading self-help as being compassionate towards others, he might be a good person one day. I was like, ouch.
Ooh. Dude, yeah, but like for real, like that's a shot. How did you take that?
I laughed it off at the beginning. Then as the day went on, I was like, yo, fuck that person. Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
As the day went on, I got pissed. Go ahead.
Dude, I think that's like a classic response though, is like at first like laughing it off and then like, oh, I don't feel like that. I'm not butthurt by that. But then as the day goes on, like, fuck that bitch. Yeah. You know, like, damn it.
Yeah.
And I find that's a common response for me as well. Like, I'm trying to like accept how I actually feel when stuff like that comes up. When I do receive hate, now I'm like, I don't like that person a little bit right now. and like just straight up, like kind of like, fuck you. And then as it goes on and like my ego calms down and I'm kind of like aware of it, I notice it kind of goes away and I become grateful for the people I have in my life and whatever else. But it's funny, as you said, those like 3 out of those 5 things from that post in the carousel, 3 of those 5 things, I was like, oh shit, like I've done that, or I still do that sometimes. And like,
me too.
Oh shit, dude. Yeah, man. And so like, that's another thing about like feeling, here's a problem that I see in our society, which is, I think there's a level of self-acceptance that we need to reach. Like for me, I'm just like 3 out of those 5 things. I'm like, fuck, I fully did that. I'm embarrassed that I've done that one before.
Yeah.
You know, and just like, I think that that's a great thing to have the level of acceptance. Like, oh, I can see myself in that. I can see myself in that. Because I think it adds a level of understanding that like I wouldn't judge somebody else now for doing that.
Yes.
And like, since I don't judge that person, if I come in contact with them in any situation, like I'm able to like not create separation between us and actually connect with them and understand them. And I think what we're missing is not just an understanding of somebody else and how they feel and how they view the world, but an appreciation.
Yes.
Because an understanding is with the mind. Appreciation is with the heart. Mm-hmm. And I think that will kind of get rid of the ego and we'll be able to connect with people more, come together, because there's some separation happening in society. And I think that's what could bring it together, is an appreciation for how other people view the world, not just understanding.
Yeah. And a couple of things, I had 3 things pop up in my head. One of the things I was going to say to that was, I saw in the comment section, people loved it. And like, I remember seeing some things that people posted that technically fit the bill of that. And at first I was like, oh, well, these people are hypocrites. But I was like, no, I'm a hypocrite too. And then I got the joke even more when I realized that. I was like, that's what makes it good. 2, if you can't laugh at yourself, and then just me just like sucking myself off, like I'm so funny. And then 2, if you can't laugh at yourself, like what really do you have? I think there's a strengthening of your sense of self the more you're able to laugh at yourself. Because I think you kind of told me this after I was going through a terrible breakup last summer. I remember you telling me like, we are both equally insignificant and equally the center of our own worlds. Like in the grand scheme of things, we're a speck of dust, but in the grand scheme of our lives, we are literally everything. We're the only person we're going to go through our life that is the constant. That is the one true constant, right? And you have to be able to balance those two things out. Yeah, the message of like, hey, don't be an asshole online is important. But at the same time, it's also good to look at that and be like, I have been that asshole. And you can laugh at yourself, right? Like this is the third thing I'll bookmark before I go on to something that kind of came from that. The role of the jester back in like medieval times.
Right.
Nobody was safe. Yeah, nobody was safe. They criticized everybody. That's what makes humor good. You can't draw lines in the sand. It's okay to say, I don't find that funny, and you don't consume that humor. Or you ask somebody like, I'd appreciate if you didn't make that joke around me. But to say that's not funny, you can't say that, is to shut off a segment of humor, a section of something people find entertaining and people find joy in. And I think that's wrong. And people say, oh, like, what if the joke's not actually funny? It's just racist. Or if it's just bigoted. You can have conversations about that. I have my own personal view on that subject, but I won't go into that because I don't think it's important here. But it's that same principle of people need a laugh. We need to understand how pointless and important life is at the same time. And the acceptance of that pointlessness is laughing at it, is laughing at yourself, right? Like, I'm sure you look back on some of your old projects, some of the things you did, you'd be like, oh my God, what the hell was I doing? Like, yeah, I'd roast me too. I look like an idiot. But at the time, it was everything. It was everything. And you wouldn't be who you are now without it. So it's that balancing act, right?
Oh, man, totally. Man, you're getting philosophical on us here. You're getting like a little bit of duality, everything and nothing at the same time.
Thank you.
You had one more thing to say about that, right?
Thank you for letting me bookmark, because I was going to let you speak. But I had this one person actually message me, and they're Palestinian. And they go, don't you think that you're like making fun of people who are calling for equality right now when inequality is going on so long? I was like, well, what do you mean by that? She's like, Palestinians are being murdered. I was like, I never said anything about Palestinians. Never. Not once in that post. I mentioned Palestine. Did I mention Israel? Did I mention Black Lives Matter? Did I mention Stop Asian Hate? I didn't mention any of it. And that's why I made it. I would never attack a political issue or a world issue, especially one I know literally nothing about. Like, I couldn't fucking tell you. If I told you something about Palestine and Israel, I'm sure somebody could jump in and just school me, because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But if you want to talk to me about how Steve Kerr misused James Wiseman in the Warriors offense, or why Dwayne Casey sucks as a coach, I could just go off, right? But like super inconsequential. But I told her like, and they're like, don't you think the timing is a bit tone deaf? And I go, no, here's why. One, there is always horrific injustices happening in the world. Whether it's something that's some group of people is doing to another, whether there's famine, whether there's sickness, whether there's always something wrong going on. You just don't know necessarily unless the mainstream media tells you. And some people are really tapped into that stuff, and that's fine. Two, and I explained to her the subtext. I made subtext on each joke, and it was something like, don't assume you're better than others for what you say about social issues, even if you are doing the right thing. Two, have charitable assumptions of what others do, because it actually furthers the movement. It strengthens the movement. Three, don't make public statements unless you know what you're talking about and really put in time to learn. And four, make sure you're looking into the things that you're donating to, because you could get fucked over. I almost donated money to a place, but I was like, no, I need to take my own advice. I looked it up. They're scammers. Right. And I was like, do you agree with that? I was like, do you agree with that? She goes, yeah, I agree with that. I go, that's the joke. That's the point of the joke. I'm not targeting Palestine. I'm not targeting Israel. I've had people who have supported both sides of the cause message me and tell me they thought it was hilarious. Right. And to my ex's mom, and my ex and her family were like really, really far, not super, super far left, but like they were quite far left, and they were really into like social justice and like talking about everything and being at every rally, all that thing. So they probably took it as a personal shot, like, you're a loser if you do this. And that wasn't the intended tone, right? Like, I can't, unless any one of those people talk to me, I couldn't convey that if they took it a different way, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man. Dude, like, everyone's got their 2 cents, and most people do not mind sharing it. So yeah, man, that makes total sense that people do that. And I want to go back to one thing you said about some people like looking at the things that are happening in the news, looking at like the war, looking at the famine. And this is like real shit. Like, there are human beings that are just having completely shit quality lives right now as we speak. And that sucks. And I think if we can support that and we were inspired to do that, that's amazing. And I fully respect that. But at the same time, I think it can go a little bit too far where we add detriment to the own quality of our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I learned from Tony Robbins. It's never left me. He's like, what's bad is always there to focus on, but so is what's good. Mm-hmm. Did you know, dude, that we are taking in right now as we speak per second over 1 million bits of information, 1 million through our 5 senses, a fucking million. And the other day I was like, right now there's 1 million bits of information coming into me right now. And I'm focusing on like this dick that cut me off in traffic. And all the millions I could focus on, I'm focusing on this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt kind of like embarrassed. And I'm like, but then it gave me so much freedom and power, you know. And I've heard from spiritual teacher Michael Singer. He used to work in prisons and help guys that are locked up feel free, because freedom is an internal thing. It has nothing to do with money or travel or anything else. It's an internal thing. And he helped them get free. And he's like, there are people that are in jail that are free, and people that are outside and living in Canada that are not free. Mm-hmm. You know, and freedom is just up here. And I think that we kind of close out our freedom a little bit when we are closed off to other people's views.
Yes.
I think if we open up to people's views, we gain a greater sense of freedom because we're not pissed off by everything. Anything that's not within our belief system, we get pissed off. It's like, that's not freedom. That's called like anger in a pissed off life. So yeah, that's what I would say to those haters is like, practice like a 10-minute Eckhart Tolle self-acceptance exercise and see what happens.
Literally. And I remember one of the things like, and I'll get off the top of my ex's family, because I really I don't think they're bad people. I have nothing bad to say about them, but this fits what I was going to bring up when you're talking about there's such thing as activist fatigue, right? And I remember my ex's mom specifically being like, I feel so burnt out with everything going on in the world. This was right after George Floyd. This is when the Black Lives Matter rallies were going on like crazy. Like everybody was at home focusing on injustices. And it's like, I believe this wholeheartedly. If you truly believe in a cause, believe in it 100%, support it. That being said, you can do too much, right? It's the same with everything. You want to be a pro ball player. You want to be a life coach. You want to be a lawyer. You want to be a fucking person who stands in a suit and waves signs outside a Pizza Hotline. There can be a point where you do it too much. The real growth, the real learning, the real understanding happens when you're not pushing yourself, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things, again, and focusing on good things doesn't even need to mean like turn your eye to injustice. Like even if you're thinking about the injustice, you're like, I'm so grateful for my family because there are people out there who don't get that time. I'm so grateful for, there are some people who are getting out of that country. That's amazing. There are some people who are getting out of that situation. That's incredible, right? And I've never actually read this book, but I've been like using it in a bunch of things recently. But A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, right?
That's funny, yeah.
The whole purpose of that book is a man's trying to find the meaning of life and change his mentality while he's in a fucking concentration camp. Like
worst situation imaginable.
All the situations in world history. That's top 5 in terms of difficulty.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And he's able to change his mindset, right? So, and it's not to shit on people who can't, but it's just to show you it is possible and it is worthwhile to go through that.
Yeah, 100%. I love that story because he's proven. Like, if you think your life is, I want to know the stat, all right? But I bet you it's in the millions of people in Canada who have depression, anxiety, complain, are angry on a regular basis, and feel all this garbage. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not saying they shouldn't feel that way. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is there was a man who was in a fucking concentration camp and found joy and bliss.
Yeah. So
if you can't look at that and be like, oh shit, I'm getting pissed off at the guy in front of me, which I did like 3 days ago. Yeah. I wish he would drive faster. I was like, fuck off. That was Brett. That wasn't, me. That was just, my ego going off. But like people go through stuff like, why hate? Why not be peaceful? Mother Teresa, she used to run all these activist rallies all the time. And she would be like, I would never, ever run an anti-war rally. I only would ever run a pro-peace rally. Yes. Because what we focus on, we feel. And if we're focusing on anti-war, all the brain is hearing is war, war, war. If you focus on pro-peace, all we hear is peace, peace, peace. So, I think that's pretty cool. Focus on the positive because what's the alternative?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think you've kind of hit on 2 points that I think people think are contradictory, but I don't agree with at all. Is that you said you accept your feelings as they are, but you focus on the good things that can come out of it. Right. Because there is such a thing as toxic positivity, right? Like, if you're fucking somebody close to you dies, you're like, this is good. Like, no, you will learn the lesson in that tragic experience through the grieving process, through moving through life, through moving through the emotions, and there's something, and I'm not hesitating to say it. There's something beautiful in grief. There's something beautiful in understanding of, when you lose something, and it could be something as trivial as like, I don't know, you didn't make a team or you didn't get a job because you had hopes for that. Like, you need to grieve the idea of that. And if you didn't want to do it, then why the fuck are you there? Right. But like,
fair. That's a whole other conversation, but yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing? Did somebody pay you? Like, what?
Yeah.
Right. So
anyways,
you have expectations. And I think that we were kind of talking about expectations the other day. Were we not? About, they can actually be detrimental to you. But at the same time, like, if you're going for something, you want to get it. So if you don't get it, if you lose somebody close to you, or if you lose an opportunity, life is really, again, talking about paradoxes, it's fragile, but at the same time, we're as durable as human beings have ever been in human history. You play with that scale. Sometimes something can happen just like that. A 1,000,000 to 1 chance, 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance, and your life can be flipped upside down. So it's good to focus on what you're grateful for, to focus on like, yo, man, I've lived 22 years on this planet. That, in the grand scheme of things, literally nothing. In my life, that's my whole life, and I'm so grateful.
That's all you got, bro.
I'm so grateful that I've done this, and I've met the people that I've met. I've had the experiences that I've had, because at the end of the day, like, I think the only way, or not the only way, but I think a great way to lose the fear of death. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day. The great way to remedy the fear of death is if you live a life in such a way that if you were to die tomorrow, you're okay with what you did.
So what do you think? I agree. What do you think it takes to get to that point?
It's a good question. I think it takes a lot of, one, follow what you love. And I know there are some people like, that's actually bullshit because you can't get paid for that. But at a starting point, square one, ground zero, why are they different numbers? Whatever. If you don't know what you're doing, follow. And somebody, I was actually talking to a life coach about this. They said, I asked them, if you were to tell people who are looking for fulfillment, I didn't say that word correctly. She was like, ask them what they love doing as a child. How can they tap into that joy now? And I think that's so important, right? Like, I remember when, I think I was telling you, when I dropped out of school 2 years ago in 2019, I wanted to drop out because I wanted to create. I wanted to write. I wanted to do comedy. Right. I wasn't thinking about getting a day job. And I just kind of like walked into a day job by chance. People would say by chance, but it was all a part of what I was doing. But I focused on, no, I'm going all in on comedy, on writing, on content creation. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do with my life. That's what I really want to do. And I'll pick up the pieces later. And, there needs to get a point where, how am I going to be profitable on this? Is this something that I can live on? Do I need a job? Those things come up. But I think when you really tap into that, you open up doors for yourself that weren't possible before. And I think you need an unshakable belief in what you're doing. You can't just do what you love and be like, oh, but like, I hate when I see people who are like, oh, I'm an author, I write. I'm like, that's awesome. They're like, oh no, I'm poor. Like, why the fuck would you talk down on yourself like that? Like, and it's one thing to joke. I get it. You try to joke about it, but like, there are people who do what they love, but they view it as like oh, well, what else would I do? Oh, I don't know. This isn't cool. Like, this is lame. Like, no, I think you need to do what you love, but you need an unshakable belief that what you're doing is a yes. This is what I want to do in my life. Because then everything else opens up. People feel that. Like, people see that. You start walking differently. You start carrying yourself differently. You start doing things that you wouldn't have thought you were going to do in the first place. You become a completely different person, all because you seared into something that you love. Like, really.
Yeah.
100
for sure.
100, like, no, like 50. Oh, I might, but I might not. No. 150% into what you love. And then the game opens up.
I believe that too. I believe that we should do what we love. At the same time, I also know that like the author that says, yeah, well, I just fucking write, like, nah, whatever. Mm-hmm. I kind of understand that. Like, we all have experiences in our lives that are like painful. Mm-hmm. What if they had like, people have painful experiences. And I think what people are really looking for, Tony Robbins says this as well. I love it so much. He's like, people aren't really looking for happiness, because happiness like goes up and down. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not. Like if you smile all the time, your face fucking hurts, you know, like that's just a fact, you know? And he's like, what people are really searching for is a sense of meaning. And I think that we can lose meaning in the stuff that we do. Like even Elton John, motherfucker just sings the same fucking song every night, even though it's his passion, it's what he loves to do. You still got to like find meaning and like find that hunger to keep performing and keep doing it better. Cause you do the same thing over and over. I mean, humans get bored after a while. So we have to find meaning in that boredness. And so the author is like, I think what he needs is to find like some kind of meaning. And as far as like purpose, doing what we love, dude, that is like all I was obsessed with since the day I dropped out of university, which was maybe 3 years ago now or so. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go like follow my heart. Cause that's what my heart was telling me. Like, dude, drop the fuck out. Like, this is not leading where you want to go. And so began the search. And I definitely didn't find it. I'm only kind of stepping into it now. I'm not even sure if I still know my purpose, but I have purpose for the next like half a year.
That's good.
I know what I'm doing in the next 6 months. I know who I am more than I ever have. And I think there's so much pressure to find a purpose. Whereas when we just stop focusing on ourselves, what can I get? How can I find my purpose? And start focusing on who can I give? Who can I serve? Yes. And I think through that service, we find our purpose. Because that's how I found it. Did not find it by focusing on me. I found it by focusing on other people.
Yeah. Well, there was this really good exercise my friend gave me. Finding seven levels of why. So if I ask you what's your purpose, you give me an answer. I go, okay, why? That's one. And I just keep asking you why until I hit 7. And like, it really gets you to the root of why are you really fucking doing this? And what I found was what I'm doing is about other people. And I remember when my dad asked me, like, what do you want to do with your life? I was like, comedy. Like, I want to entertain. I want to have conversation. Because I think we need more people who are able to laugh, who are able to analyze, and who are able to step back and kind of go, no, okay, actually, like, maybe I fucked up. Maybe I was wrong. I think we need more actual humans who entertain, not just pushing like, I don't know, corporate bullshit or not thinking critically about what's going on. And he's like, okay, but how does that serve people? I'm like, what do you mean? How does that serve people? Like entertainment, like people are plugged in all the time. People are looking at their screens all the time. The average person comes home and watches Netflix and looks for something to watch every day. Like if I can provide value to those people in some way, even if they don't get up and start living to what's true to them, like I did, or what you do, but they find entertainment and they find a sense of joy in what I'm saying and what I'm doing. Like, is that not serving people? Human beings need entertainment. We need joy. We need time to just decompress. That to me is like one of the ultimate acts of service. And that sounds like kind of conceited to some because it's what I'm doing. But I truly believe, and I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe that. I think it's an ultimate act of service.
Yeah, that's beautiful, brother. And like, who decides if it's an ultimate act of service? I mean, partly you, partly like the market. You know, you'll hear people comment back, and I think we all need an escape. I used to be one of those disciplined guys, like, no, I can just push and push and push. I need that pussy shit. Fuck Netflix, you know. And fuck you, Chip Conley. He's the CEO. But then I realized that if I keep doing this, I'll burn out and life will suck. And so, like, for example, tonight I'm planning on watching a documentary called The Social Dilemma on Netflix. And it's terrible. It's just like, really?
I'm kidding. It's actually, apparently it's quite good. The way it's done, they did like, maybe, I don't know, like my immigrant parent thing was kicking in where like this girl, they're like, why don't we try to like put our phones away for dinner? So they put in like this lock box that locks for a certain amount of time. And one of the daughters takes a hammer and breaks it. And I just thought to myself, I was like, if I ever did that, my mom's putting that hammer through my temple. Like, I'm not living if I did that shit. But anyway, sorry. I think
if you broke the fucking lockbox, yeah.
Oh, she'd be like, you know how much money that cost? It'd be like $20, but like still, she'd fucking murder me. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, she wouldn't give a fuck that you're going back on your phone. The fucking lockbox, you idiot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give your child irreversible brain damage for a $20 lockbox.
Yeah, it must have been one nice lockbox. But but here's my point. My point is that we all need an escape, and like, it's hard here. You know, like, it's hard here. Life isn't just easy. You know, it's hard. Mm-hmm. And if you work hard, you definitely want to relax as well. I mean, humans aren't these magical beings that don't work on rest and recovery cycles. Why do you think we sleep every night? Mm-hmm. Motherfucker, we need rest. You know, and that also goes into like what happens before sleep. And like, of course there's time to not work. And I used to actually kind of be like against Netflix and all that because I was so focused, but it wasn't very fulfilling. It was kind of like a dull sort of life when I wasn't, you know, watching comedy, or I wasn't watching just any show that I enjoy. It doesn't have to be comedy, doesn't have to be a movie or anything, but just something for the sake of doing it. I think it's important to every day do something just for its own sake.
Yeah.
So it's not with some end result, but to like do it just because it's fun. Like for me, I like to dance. Just like 10 minutes, I'll just like dance. And it's so fun. It's for its own sake. That's the nice thing. But sometimes in the business world anyways, we can get so caught up in like the end result. I want to be like the entrepreneur of the fucking, you know, century, and stress ourselves out. So yeah, what I'm saying is we do need an escape in my experience, and comedy is a fantastic way. There's this guy that I want to share with you actually. I just found him on TikTok recently. He's so fucking funny. Oh my God. I think you might know him because you kind of reminded me of him a little bit.
Che Durena?
No, I don't think. No, it's a dude. He's like, he talks like kind of slow, like, like this, and makes like his voice. Yeah. Okay. I'll show you him after, dude. He's so funny. And I was like, I'm going to watch this guy. I made the decision. I'm like, I'm going to watch this guy for the next hour on TikTok and go through every single one of his videos nonstop.
Amazing.
And I did it.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up. There's a basketball court just outside where I'm staying, and I have a ball, and I went there and I shot around today, and I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to do one of my old basketball workouts. Like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I started to try, and I realized, I'm like, holy fuck, like, it's hard. It's really, I didn't realize how locked in I was for all those years. Getting up at 5, going to the gym for 6, doing my ball handling for 45 minutes, finishing around the rim for another 30. Now I do catch and shoots off pin downs for an hour. Now I do attacking closeouts for 30 minutes. Time to do weights, time to go home, sleep, eat, watch film, gym's back open again. I was doing my ball handling for like 5 minutes. I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, I so don't want to do this. But like at the same time, it was fun to try because I did actually enjoy like doing some of the drills that I did. And it was fun to get in like a little rhythm. But I did it because I really loved it. I did it because I wanted to. I didn't do it for the sake of I'm becoming better because I want to be a better ball player. It's like, no, like I just kind of love the game. So these drills I'm doing is because I really, so it was a really nice like mix and contrast of holy Christ, I was really locked in. Do I really love this? And no, I actually found like the part of this that really gives me joy, that I really like doing. And, you know, I think that was like a nice lesson in hitting your head against the wall and then maybe just headbanging to metal music because it's fun, right? You don't have to hurt yourself.
Yeah, man. And I think we can find joy in the process. The last thing I'll say, because I do have to run now because I have some work to do. Funny enough, even though it's a fucking Sunday and we're talking about escape and taking breaks, yes, I need to go work on a Sunday.
Well, I need to ask you one more question before you go. Say your thing and then.
Okay. Okay. I'll say it quick then. So something that really helped me, if you're listening to this and you're results oriented and you focus on the end result and you really want to achieve this, and sometimes you feel anxious that you haven't achieved it yet, or sometimes you know you don't see progress, and that feeling of stagnation, like, oh, I'm doing this stupid habit again, like whatever it is, 10 minutes of meditation, I'm not a fucking monk yet, you know, I don't like doing this. If you feel that, I have something for you, which is, as opposed to becoming result oriented, try to become process oriented and only focus on the day. Because by doing that and like tracking the day, measuring like the key performance indicators from your day, it can become this like kind of fun experiment where you're focused just on like maximizing today without having to focus on the end result in a way that makes you anxious. And when you do, at the end of the day, when you focus on the system, you actually achieve quite a bit more during the day. And so you kind of feel that confidence and that excitement that you're on your way to that end result. And in my experience, it kind of rids of the anxiety. So become process oriented today over focusing on the end result, because the process is what creates the end result anyways. That's what helped me lose my anxiety about that.
Well, you said it earlier in the episode, Jerry Seinfeld, just write the joke every day. And
right.
the bigger thing than just writing the joke, enjoy writing the joke. Or find the beauty in struggling because you got it done. Right. And I think this kind of, I realize this, I'll say this quick and I'll ask you the question. I was thinking about like our conversation just now, and there was a part of me that was like, I loved this so much. I enjoy talking to you. So I don't like, I have my goals of having Netflix specials and, being a millionaire comedian, being a billionaire and all these things just to strive for, because I love setting huge goals.
Yes.
If this is seen by 5 people, I really don't care. I loved having this conversation. And that's what matters at the end of the day. Like, I could go my life. Let's say I don't reach my goals. I will, but let's say I don't. Let's say I don't. I fucking loved doing this. And this is exactly like what I signed up to do. Let's say, the marketing isn't as great. I'll figure it out. Fuck, it's marketing, right? Like, people have fucking figured that out. I just enjoy doing this, right? So I'll ask you the last question, because I know you got to go, because I know you're a busy man. And you're sitting there very seductively with your bed in the background. What's something that you've learned that you think is underrated that people need to know?
That's a really good question. Something that's underrated that I think people need to know about. The couple things that popped in my head was having something for health that is done every day, no matter what. Mm-hmm. The second thing I would say is, here's actually the thing. Yeah, there it is. I was waiting for it to come. I knew it was there. Here's the thing that I think is underrated. Even though people talk about it a lot, I still think it's underrated. It's like, it's like the most important thing I've realized in my life that I think is changed my life, has changed the lives of others. And if done correctly, it's like literally the next level of your life, quality of life, emotions, finances, relationships. I've noticed this in my own life in the last 4 months and in the last 4 years, in a sense as well. So this is it. Here's a question that I asked myself. Like I said, a month and a half ago, I'll speak about this transformation I went through maybe, in a year or so, but I'm going to kind of touch on it lightly here and there as I become more like public again in this stuff. But for the last month and a half, I've been asking myself this question, which is, at the end of each day, I would say, who are the 5 people I've spent the most time with this week? And what would happen if I threw them into like a NutriBlend, smoothie blender, threw them in there, blended them up, and out popped their essence financially, their financial life, their emotional life, how happy they are, how much money they have, how quality their relationships are, how spiritually alive they are, how smart they are, all these things. Would I be happy if I was that essence that popped out? Would I be happy with that? And the answer invariably was, shit, no, not at all. And then I realized whenever my answer is I would not be happy with that, I know what my next task is for the next, month. Start saying no to more people. And that's it. That's what's literally transformed the hell out of my life. It's why I who I am today. It's like everything that I've done in my life has been changing my environment. That's like all the success I have, I attribute to like those big decisions where I've changed my environment. So that's what I would say is underrated. And let me just add one more thing, because this probably just went over like, the 5 listeners that we have probably just went over like 4 of their heads.
3.
So yeah, okay.
There's only 3.
Well, hopefully all 3 of them, it didn't go over their heads, but we've all heard that a million times. A million. Like, it's very easy to be like, oh, you 5 people I spend the most time with. Mm-hmm. But it's like, no. Tonight, message like 30 people who are where you want to be. Like, literally go message them on Instagram. You can go to their Instagram and message them. Okay, so maybe they have 1 million followers they want to answer. Message the people that they're friends with. Message those friends of friends. Mm-hmm. Like, we're like 2 people away from like everybody in the world, 3 people away from anybody in the world. So like, start reaching out to people and message them, because most people don't do that because they're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of being like, if I let go of my friends, I won't have any, I'll feel alone and it'll suck. And you might be right. When you first leave, you might feel a little bit alone, but there's people out there that are just hot stuff that would just love to hang out with you, but you have to go search for them and put yourself out there first. And if you don't do that, you'll be stuck with the same stuff you've always gotten. And I mean this like literally. So I mean this literally. The 5 people you spend the most time with this week, out pops their essence. If you are not happy with that, move, change, say no. Like, it's like you literally become those people. You literally, the 5 people you are the most, you become them. Okay. And I hope this scares you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, man, I just shit my pants. No, but for real, that is awesome advice. And that is one of those things where it's like, if I go somewhere, then like, what if I, my friends aren't going to be there? But you can always make new friends. But I think there's also
100%.
something nice about that. It's a blank slate. Those 5 people, you don't have the old mentality or those ties to those people, right? So you don't have any emotional ties to anybody. You can kind of make your way through a lot easier.
Yeah, and like the last thing I'll say, which is like I said at the start, it's our identity that shapes our reality. Identity equals behavior equals results.
Mm-hmm.
And what is our identity made up with? How we think, act, and feel. So be around people who think, act, and feel like you want to think, act, and feel, because that's what we take on. Humans are nothing but a bunch of patterns, thought patterns, emotional patterns, behavior patterns. We're all just pattern machines. Mm-hmm. Okay, so find people that are living the patterns that you want to live, and you will adopt those patterns through osmosis. Mm-hmm. I promise. Quite
literally, man. Well, Brett Bailey, you are one of my favorite people, truly and honestly. You're a great dude, man. Brother. I appreciate you being on. I appreciate you spitting the wisdom that you spit. I appreciate you doing your hair for this. Everything, man. You're the best. Is there anything you'd like to leave the people with? Actually, no, you already said all you shit you got to leave the people. You got to go.
I could say.
Yeah, go for it.
I can say one more thing. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to you, and it's really nice of you to have me on. This is our second chance to get on a podcast. It'd be fun one day. Maybe next time we're together, we should listen back to the first episode.
Oh my Lord!
And roast the hell out of ourselves.
You mean roast the hell out of me just making everything into a story about masturbation? Like, oh, do you want to hear about me jerking off? You're like meeting me for the first time. You're like, maybe. I'm like, okay. Here's about me jerking off.
You really want to. Here you go. No, man. I mean, dude, I was all positivity, didn't accept negativity. I'm sure I said stuff that I would be like, oh my God. So, but yeah, no, just thank you to you. Thank you to your viewers. And I want to honor you, brother, for constantly growing since I've known you, Nick.
Thank you.
Every time we talk about growth. We talk about like, what can we do better? And I feel you have that same obsession as I do of like, you want to grow, you want to improve. And that's why you are where you are, man. That's why you have the thoughts and feelings and actions that you do. And you have a greater quality life because of it. So I want to honor you for that, and your listeners for taking time out of their day to catch some entertainment on the Nick Bueno show, or catching some education maybe on this episode. And it's just a beautiful thing that we've created today. So thank you for this experience.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. And you know what? Honestly, seeing how you grow in the back of my head, I always keep in mind like, yo, that's what Brett's doing. Remember, he's leveling up. Like, and not like a competition thing, but like, yo, he's getting what he wants.
Let's go. Get your shit in gear. Yeah.
Make sure you can't stop, because you see the growth he's made. And bro, it really has. It's leaps and bounds, like truly and honestly. It's insane, man. It's very admirable and inspiring to look at.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, bro. Of course. Okay. Then this is us signing off on Heck If I Know. Everybody have a wonderful week. Peace out.